Given the new policy introduced by the CBN on cash withdrawal limits in recent times, how prepared are you as an organization? How do you intend to transition into this new mode? How do you intend to, restructure your payments process come 9th of January 2023 when this policy would be implemented? My name is Oyekemi Ajayi, and today I'm going to be speaking on how to revise or restructure your payment process given the new policy introduced by the CBN. The first policy is that the minimum amount withdrawn by a corporate organization in a week is 500,000 naira. Any amount in excess of 500,000 naira would incur a charge, or you would incur a charge on that of about 10%. If we look at that on a monthly basis, the maximum you can get will be 2 million naira. The second policy is that checks amounting to 50,000 naira would no longer be paid over the counter. The third policy is that cash withdrawn via the ATM is going to be 100,000 naira per week maximum. The fourth policy is that the maximum amount you can get via your POS machine is 20,000 naira daily. And then the other policy is that in any compelling situation that you need to actually withdraw a very huge amount, the maximum is 10 million, and you have to provide reasons, more like your justification, why that amount, or to the extent of that amount, is being withdrawn from your account. So now let's take it a step further and let's look at the effect on a medium-sized business, particularly those businesses that have not been financially included, or those businesses that do not have digital payment platforms. The very first is high transaction costs as it relates to processing fees or processing charges. The second is that for companies that are highly dependent on cash-based transactions, they will largely be affected. Third, for companies that have not started putting into use digital payment platforms, they would highly be affected given the limits that has been imposed or that the CBN has put out for us. The next is tax implication, or let's even say higher tax implications, particularly when these businesses begin to adopt digital payment methods and these payments become more visible to the tax authorities. Let's take it a step further and let's look at how you can structure your payment process to incorporate this new policy that would be implemented in January 2023. In providing information about the payment process and how it should be structured, we're going to be looking at the imprest system or the imprest fund and out of imprest fund. So for your imprest, recall that imprest is used to cover little expenses or small expenses within an organization that you would not typically disburse through your major payment process or your major payment portal, right? So we'll be looking at imprest payments and outside imprest payments to explain this. So given the policy of the CBN with respect to daily withdrawal limits in a week of 500,000, daily is 100,000, so in a week is 500,000. And when we look at that on a monthly basis, we have a total of 2 million. I would say that as an organization, you need to understand your payments, what is required, and the amount required to make payments within an organization. So what I'm saying basically is understand your payment requirements. 2, all expenses that are in excess of 2 million should be treated outside your imprest. So recall that the limit is 500,000 in a week, and then in a month you have 2 million. So you can actually cover expenses worth 2 million naira within a month, right? And then any expense that is in excess of 2 million will be treated outside the imprest system. So meaning that you have to be a bit more detailed here, because if you say I have a cost, maybe something I need to pay for and is worth 2 million naira, if you expense the entire 2 million naira, it means you don't have any fund left in your interest. And if you deal with a lot of cash, right, you can't go back to withdraw again. And remember that this 2 million is for a month. So you need to be very strategic here. What I'm saying in essence is all your expenses that will be handled through your interest system should not exceed 2 million naira on an aggregate basis. And then anyone in excess of 2 million will be treated using your major payment process, which I assume should be your internet banking. A lot of banks these days have online banking apps or online banking portals for corporate organizations. So we expect that that will be utilized. For companies that are not using that or that are not processing payment through that, with this policy, it's expected that you scale up. You just have to scale up and start processing payments using your online banking portals. Moving on, for companies that make payments on a daily basis, right? Maybe you have contract staff that you pay on a daily basis, you pay them wages on a daily basis. You could negotiate with them, right? And have the payments done on a weekly basis. And if it's difficult to achieve a weekly basis, you can have it paid twice in a week. But I'm going to say here that you need to scale up again. Rather than having cash payments made to these employees, contract staff within your organization, get their bank details. For those of them that don't have bank accounts, right? Encourage them, let them go. Everyone should have a bank account. Create an account or open an account rather with a bank and let them provide the details to you or to the accountants within the organization. Payments to them should be made into their accounts rather than cash. So as much as possible, try to reduce cash payments to your contract staff or to anyone working with you that you have to pay on a daily basis. One, we said try to restructure for payments on a weekly basis, and secondly, make payments into the bank account rather than cash. The next point is that you consider batching your expenses and making these payments maybe twice in a week, as said earlier. So instead of, a lot of organizations have transactions worth hundreds in numbers, or 200 in a day. You can't be, crediting everybody or crediting 200 people in a day. It might become cumbersome, and at the end of the day, the accountants might even make a mistake. So what we encourage is that you try to batch payments. It can be done twice in a week. It can be done 3 times in a week, particularly for payments that have, very little amounts in place. And finally, I want to encourage that you have your business accounts separate from your personal accounts. A lot of mid-sized business owned by one man or even small-sized business have the same account for personal transactions and also for business transactions. Ensure that you have a separate account for both, because as you upscale and start using the digital payment methods that we've talked about, like your online payment platform and all, you become visible more to the tax authorities, right? So as you keep making these payments and you have the same account, it won't go well at the end of the day, right? Because we are unable to separate your personal, things from the business and all. So we encourage that you separate both. Transactions for the business should be for the business. Personal transactions should be in your personal accounts. I hope this information has been very helpful, and you've been able to get a lot of information on how to manage your payments going forward. I encourage you to please upscale as the case may be. Speak to your bankers. If you need your bankers to create a product that is suitable for your organization to be able to meet up with the payments, done on a day-to-day basis, please do so that you will not be caught in the web when the new policy is implemented. Remember, information is power. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.